Hold on to your seats, Cubs fans, because what I'm about to tell you will have you riding every emotion from pure ecstasy to heart-stopping concern, and back to that familiar feeling of hope that only we know how to carry. This isn't just another Sunday in June. This is the kind of day that defines seasons, the kind of moments that separate the pretenders from the contenders. And trust me when I say our beloved Cubs are writing a story that'll have you talking for years. Picture this. Our ace slugger taking a nasty tumble that had us all holding our breath, a rotation dilemma that's got our front office scrambling before the trade deadline, and a performance against Cincinnati that reminded everyone why we never count out this team. 3 stories, 1 incredible day, and the kind of drama that makes baseball the greatest sport on earth. You know that feeling when you're watching a Cubs game and something just feels different? That electricity in the air at Wrigley when the wind's blowing and you can sense something special brewing? That's exactly what Sunday felt like, except multiply it by 10 and add the kind of plot twists that would make Hollywood jealous. We're talking about a star player going down swinging, literally. A front office playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers, and a team that's sitting pretty at 15 games over 500 for the first time since 2018. But here's where it gets real, Cubs fans. And I need you to pay attention because this affects every single one of us who bleed Cubby blue. While we're celebrating what might be our best start in years, there are storm clouds gathering that could either make or break our World Series dreams. The trade deadline is breathing down our necks, our rotation needs help, and sometimes the players we count on most are the ones who remind us just how fragile this beautiful game can be. I'm telling you right now, smash that like button if you're ready for this roller coaster. Drop a comment if you've been following this team as long as I have, and hit subscribe because Cubs fans stick together through everything. We've been through the desert and we've seen the promised land, and what happened this weekend proves we're not just dreaming. We're building something special. So buckle up, because the first story I'm about to tell you involves our newest superstar, a stolen base attempt that went horribly wrong, and the kind of heart-stopping moment that had the entire Cubs nation holding its collective breath. The dirt was still settling around second base when Cubs fans everywhere felt their hearts drop into their stomachs. There he was, Kyle Tucker, our $150 million man, our offensive catalyst, our guy who was supposed to lead us to the promised land, face first in the infield dirt, with his helmet askew and blood trickling from his nose. This wasn't just any stolen base attempt. This was the moment every Cubs fan has nightmares about. Let me paint you the picture, because if you missed it live, you missed one of those moments that defines what it means to be a Cubs fan. Bottom of the first inning, Tucker gets plunked, and not just any old hit by pitch, but one of those that barely clips your toe and makes you wince just watching. Most players would take their base and call it a day. Not our guy, not Kyle Tucker. He's got that fire, that hunger that reminded us exactly why Jed Hoyer opened up the vault to bring him to the north side. So what does he do? He takes off for second base like a man possessed, sliding headfirst into that bag with the kind of reckless abandon that makes you simultaneously love and fear for a player. But this time, something went wrong. Horribly, terrifyingly wrong. The slide that was supposed to put him in scoring position instead became the slide that had 40,000 Cubs fans gasping in unison as Tucker's face met the dirt and his right ring finger got jammed underneath him. You could hear a pin drop at Wrigley, the kind of silence that makes your skin crawl, the kind of moment where time stops and every Cubs fan in the world collectively holds their breath. Because we've been here before, haven't we? We know what it's like to watch our stars go down, to see seasons derailed by freak injuries, to have our hopes crushed in the most Cubs way possible. But here's the thing about Kyle Tucker. The man is tougher than a $2 steak. Blood on his nose, finger jammed, dirt in his mouth, and he stayed in the game. He gritted his teeth, wiped the blood, and kept playing ball until the 4th inning, when the training staff finally had to pull him. That's the kind of heart we're talking about, Cubs fans. That's the kind of player who doesn't just wear the uniform. He embodies what it means to be a Cub. The preliminary reports are promising. No broken bones, just a jammed finger that should heal with some rest. But you and I both know this is bigger than just an injury report. This is about watching our $150 million investment slide head first into uncertainty, about seeing our offensive leader risk everything for 90 feet of base path, about remembering that baseball can break your heart in the span of a single slide. And just when you think you can exhale, just when you think maybe we dodged a bullet, the real pressure starts building. Because what happened to Tucker is just the beginning of a story that's about to test every ounce of faith Cubs Nation has built up over these incredible 58 games. While Kyle Tucker was getting x-rays on that jammed finger, while Cubs fans were lighting candles and crossing fingers, another drama was unfolding in the front office that should have every single one of us on edge. Because what good is having a healthy superstar if your pitching rotation is held together with duct tape and prayers? Jed Hoyer dropped some truth bombs this week that hit harder than any Cincinnati fastball. And our president looked the media dead in the eye and basically said what we've all been thinking, but we're too scared to say out loud. This trade market is absolutely brutal for teams trying to buy help. We're not just competing with other teams for pitching. We're getting gouged by sellers who know desperate teams will pay anything for an arm that can throw strikes. The market is favoring sellers right now, Hoyer said, and you could hear the frustration in his voice. Translation: every team with a halfway decent pitcher is asking for our entire farm system, our firstborn children, and probably naming rights to Wrigley Field. This isn't just business as usual. This is the kind of market that separates the serious contenders from the teams that talk a big game but can't pull the trigger when it matters. But here's where it gets even more complicated. Cubs fans. Remember all those rumors about Paul Skeens, that young ace in Pittsburgh who's been throwing baseballs like he's playing catch in his backyard? The guy who could theoretically solve all our rotation problems and give us that dominant starter we need for October? Well, scratch that dream off your wish list right now. Bob Nightingale dropped the hammer on Sunday. The Pirates aren't even entertaining offers for Paul Skeens. Not for our prospects, not for our major leaguers, not for all the Italian beef sandwiches in Chicago. They're keeping their golden boy locked up tighter than Fort Knox, which means we're back to hunting for pitching help in a market that's more expensive than Cubs season tickets. This isn't just about adding another starter to the rotation. This is about the difference between making the playoffs and making a serious World Series run. We're sitting pretty at 15 games over 500, leading the NL Central by 4 games, looking like legitimate contenders for the first time since 2018. But you know what happens to teams that don't address their needs at the deadline? They become cautionary tales, footnotes in other teams' championship stories. The clock is ticking, Cubs fans. Every day we wait, every series we play with question marks in our rotation, every injury scare like Tucker's finger. It all adds up to the kind of pressure that either makes champions or breaks dreams. And with 13 straight games coming up after tomorrow's off day, starting with a trip to Washington, we're about to find out exactly what this team is made of. Which brings me to the final piece of this incredible puzzle, the performance that reminded everyone why sometimes the best moves are the ones you don't have to make. Sometimes, just sometimes, the baseball gods smile down on Cubs Nation and remind us why we fell in love with this beautiful, heartbreaking, magnificent game in the first place. While Tucker was nursing that jam finger and Hoyer was working the phones trying to find pitching help that doesn't cost us our firstborn, our guys went out and played the kind of baseball that makes you believe in magic again. 7 runs, 10 hits, stolen bases, clutch hitting. Michael Busch launching his first home run since May 9th into the teeth of a Wrigley wind that was doing everything it could to keep that ball in the park. This wasn't just a win over Cincinnati. This was a statement game. The kind of performance that announces to the entire National League that the Cubs aren't just happy to be here, we're here to take what's ours. But let's talk about the real story, the subplot that had Cubs fans jumping out of their seats and remembering why they never gave up on this team. Pete Crow Armstrong, PCA to those of us who've been watching him develop, put on an absolute clinic. 3 hits, 2 stolen bases, the kind of speed and aggression that hasn't been seen in a Cubs uniform since we can remember. This kid is doing things that remind you of the great Cubs speedsters, the kind of player who can change a game with his legs and his bat. Here's a stat that'll blow your mind. PCA became just the 3rd Cub since 2019 to have 3 hits and 2 stolen bases in the same game. The last time we saw this kind of performance was from Jason Hayward back in April 2019, and before that, you have to go back to Emilio Bonifacio in a 16-inning marathon in 2014. This isn't just good baseball. This is historical Cubs baseball. The kind of performance that gets remembered long after the season's over. And then there's Jameson Taillon, our steady veteran, who gave us exactly what we needed when we needed it most. 6 1/3 innings, only 3 hits allowed, 97 pitches of controlled aggression that reminded everyone why experience matters in October. Sure, he gave up that 2-run homer to Ellie De La Cruz, because what would a Taillon start be without at least one long ball allowed? But he battled, he competed, and he gave us a chance to win. The final score was 7-3, but the real victory was bigger than that. This was the Cubs proving they can win ugly, win pretty, win when their stars get hurt, and win when the pressure's mounting. We're now 14-4 over our last 18 games against sub-500 teams, which is exactly what championship teams do. They beat the teams they're supposed to beat. 4 games up in the NL Central. 15 games over 500 for the first time since 2018. A superstar who's tough enough to play through pain. A front office that's aggressive enough to make moves when needed. And a team that's playing with the kind of confidence that makes October dreams feel like October inevitabilities. Cubs fans, I'm telling you right now, hit that like button if you're feeling what I'm feeling. Drop a comment about your favorite moment from this incredible weekend, and make sure you're subscribed because this ride is just getting started. We've got 13 straight games coming up, starting Tuesday in Washington. And if this weekend proved anything, it's that this team has something special brewing. The question isn't whether we're contenders anymore. The question is how far this magical mystery tour is going to take us. And after watching Tucker slide headfirst into second base, after seeing Hoyer work the trade market like a chess master, and after watching our guys put up 7 runs when it mattered most, I've got just one question for Cubs Nation.